Hi there. So in this section, we are going to look at converting between percents and decimals, as well as some applications of percents. We'll start here, first of all, with the definition of a percent. And percent just refers to the number of parts per 100. So for example, whenever you see the statistic 87%, for example, that is equivalent to 87 of 100 equal parts, okay? So we'll look at example 1 down here below. It says in 2009, 17 of 100 U.S. senators were women. Part A wants to know then what percent of our U.S. senators were women. So we know then that there were 17 out of 100, and 17 out of 100, as we just saw, that's equivalent then to 17% of the senators at that time were women. Part B wants to know then what percent of our senators then were men. Well, if we know 17% were women, then we can just do simply 100 minus 17, or 83% then were men. Okay. We'll move on down to number 2. It says the human body is 65% water. They want us to write this percent as a fraction and simplify. So 65%, as we saw before, we can make that a fraction by putting it over 100. 65 and 100 both have a 5 in common, so we can divide them both by 5. So 65 divided by 5 will give us 13. 100 divided by 5 will give us 20. And that would be our final answer, 13 over 20. So we've written now that percent as a fraction and then a reduced fraction. All right, so now we're going to start picking up some rules. The first rule says if we want to convert a percent to a decimal, you simply divide by 100 or move your decimal 2 places to the left. So a common example or an application where you would use this in everyday life, whenever you go to the store, you have to pay North Carolina sales tax, and that's 7%. When so let's say you're going to go up and buy something as simple as a tube of toothpaste, and tube of toothpaste, let's say, is $3.59. You don't get up to the cash register and they multiply it by 7, they multiply it by 0.07 because it's a percentage there. So this is an application of, why do we need to be able to convert percents to decimals? So looking at here, this sales tax is 7%. To write that as a decimal, we can divide it by 100. So then if you were to pop that in your calculator, 7 divided by 100, that would land you at 0.07. Or, as I said, you can just take it and move your decimal 2 places to the left. So think about here, if you had that 7, and then our decimal, if we don't have a decimal, is sitting at the end of our number, and we move it 2 places to the left, we get 0.07. Either way you do it, okay? Let's come on down to number 4. It wants us to convert these percents to decimals. So let's do number 4 together. Don't let that fraction scare you off there. That's 2.5%. Write it first, that 2 and 1/2. We can write that 1/2 as a decimal, a clean decimal, 2.5%. And then either divide it by 100 or move your decimal 2 places to the left. I'll just show a dividing by 100. When you do that, you should land at 0.025. Final answer. Okay, I'll let you try example 5 on your own. Let's move on down to example 6. And before that, I'll pick up our next rule. The next rule says that if we want to convert a decimal to a percent, so basically undo what we just did, you can go about that one of 2 ways. You can multiply it by 100, because think about it, you're undoing it. Instead of dividing now, you want to multiply by 100. Or you can move that decimal back 2 places to the right. So these are now decimals, and I want to convert them to a percent. I can take it and multiply it times 100, and that's going to land me at 45.7%. Or I can take that existing decimal, so there's my 0.457, and move it 2 places to the right, and that is still going to land me at 45.7%. Okay. All right, so now let's come on down below and let's pick up some percent applications. Most common formula that you'll see with this is that part equals percent times whole. A couple of notes when utilizing this formula. Whenever you're given the percent must be put into the formula as a decimal. So just like we just picked up here in the notes, you're either going to take that percentage and divide it by 100 or move it 2 places to the left. Okay, because you want anytime you're entering this part into the equation itself, it needs to go in as a decimal. And then lastly, if you are solving for the percent using this formula, your final answer will need to be multiplied by 100 to get the final answer. All right. I'm going to do the next 3 examples with you so that you can see us using this formula 3 separate ways and our variable moving on us. So in one of the problems we'll be solving for the part, and another problem we'll solve for the percent, and then another problem we'll solve for the whole. So coming on down to example 8, it says it wants us to find the sales tax on a purchase of $64.50 if the tax rate is 7%. And it's telling us to round to the nearest cent, okay? So I'm going to do my part equals percent times whole. And I'm going to substitute in my values here. So in my percent spot, I'm going to put in my percentage that they gave me, but remember I've got to put it in as a decimal, so I'm going to divide it by 100. That's going to put me at 0.07. Now, you're trying to find your sales tax. Now, think about that. Is that part of your bill or your whole bill? And hopefully you would agree that's your part, so that's where our X is going to be, and your whole bill was $64.50. So I'm going to put the $64.50 there. And so then that tells me then the X is going to be equal to 0.07 times 64.50. If you put that in your calculator, you should get 4.515. I'm rounded to the nearest cent, so remember cent, that's always 2 numbers after your decimal. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with this 1. That 5 behind it tells me to, since it's 5 or more, it tells me to round it up. So I'm talking about $4.52 that you would pay then in tax. Okay, that's your final answer there. Let's flip it on over to the next page. Let's look at number 9 together. Still using that same formula, so I'm going to write that first for us. Part equals percent times whole. The cyclist has completed 18 miles of a 30-mile race. We want to know what percent of the race has the cyclist completed. So this time it's trying to figure out what percent have we completed. So I'm going to put my X underneath that percent sign because that's what we're trying to find. The 18 miles that the person has completed, is that part of their mileage or they're all of their mileage? Hopefully you agree that would be part. They've completed 18 miles of a 30-mile race, so that 30 miles is the whole amount, all right? So now our goal now is to solve for X. So this is, on the right-hand side, this is X times 30. So if you're wanting to get X all by itself, undo that multiplication, divide by the number beside your letter. That cancels out the 30 on the right-hand side, just leaves you with X. On the left-hand side, 18 divided by 30 will get you 0.6. Remember, you're solving for the percent here, so final answer, you take that and multiply it times 100, because you want it to be a percentage. So 0.6 times 100, or move it 2 places to the right, that should put you at 60%. Final answer. Okay. All right, let's move on down to the next one. I'm going to write my formula again. Part equals percent times whole. It says that there are 15 girls in a class. This represents 60% of the class. I want to know how many students are in the class. All right, so I'm going to come down here below then. I know that 60% has to go in the percent spot. I got to put it in as a decimal, so I'm going to divide it by 100. That's going to put me at 0.6 or 0.60. It says there are 15 girls in the class. That's 60% of the class. That's not the whole class. So those 15 girls represent part of the class, and we're trying to figure out how many total students are in the class. Again, I'm trying to solve for my X here. This is 0.60 times X. To get that X all by itself, undo that multiplication, so divide both sides by 0.60. Cancels out there. When you do that division, you should land at 25. So there would be 25 total students then in the class. Okay, I'm going to let you try number 11 on your own. Very similar as what we've got there, so you can check yourself by the solution key. Let's come on down and look at number 12. Number 12 is a common type of thing that you would see in everyday life. You also know that find the amount of sales tax on a video game priced at $59.99, and sales tax is 7%. We're going to round to the nearest cent. So I'm still using my same formula. Part equals percent times whole. We know our sales tax rate 7%, so I'm going to put that as a decimal, 0.07. Remember, you're dividing it by 100 or moving it 2 places to the left, either way you want to think about that. That $59.99, is that part of is that the part or is that the whole? Hopefully you agree here. That's your whole. That's what you're buying. You're buying $59.99 video game. and you're trying to figure out how much tax you're going to pay, and that tax is the part, okay? Again, so here x equals 0.07 times that, so you can just put that in your calculator directly, and when you do that, you should get 4.1993. I can't remember if there's any more numbers past that, but that's all that we need because we're trying to round to the nearest cent. We're talking about money, so you should always have dollars and cents. So here I've got this 9 that I'm trying to figure out what to do with. The 9 behind it is bigger than 5, of course, so that's telling me to round up. So we can think of this then as 19 cents, and 19 cents is going to round up to 20. So $4.20 that you would pay then in tax. Now I added a part B to this one. Part B then wants to know, well, what's the total cost then of the video game? So if you think about it, your total out the door price is going to be the cost of the item, so the price of the item plus the tax that you've got to pay. So we know the price of our item was our $59.99, and we just figured out we're going to pay $4.20 in tax. Put that in your calculator, and you should land at $64.19. Final answer. Okay. I'll let you try example 13. Let's come on down and look at example 14. In example 14, it says a real estate agent earns a 3% commission on all sales. There's lots of professions where you earn a commission, real estate being one of those. Find her commission if she sells a house for the listing price of $275,000. So again, I'm going to use my formula. Part equals percent times whole. All right, so we know our percentage. We're going to put that in the percent spot, so 0.03. Remember, divide it by 100, move it 2 places to the left. Just do one or the other. She's going to earn 3% on the price of the home, and the price of the home was $275,000, so that's going to be the whole price. Her commission is going to be the part that she earns. So again, this is a straightforward. You can put that directly in your calculator, and she is going to earn $82.50 in selling that house. Okay, let's flip it over then. Last page. On the last page, you are picking up a new formula, and this is your percent increase and decrease formula. So you're going to know to use this because it's going to ask you to find the percent increase or decrease. Okay, so that's going to be your cue that you're using this formula. You'll see here that's new minus old, new amount minus old amount divided by your old amount times 100. So I'm going to do 15 and 16 with you and let you try the rest and check yourself by the solution key. In example 15, it says find the percent increase in the number of news talk radio stations from 2004 to 2011. So you're seeing here is saying find the percent increases. That's how I know to use my new formula here. If the numbers are 1285 and 1453 respectively. Okay, so what they're saying is that this is the number of news radio shows in 2004, and this is the number for 2011. 2011. There we go. All right, so I'll set up my formula here. I'm just going to abbreviate here. It's new minus old divided by old times 100. Okay, so now the new amount, that'd be the most recent, so that'd be the 2011, so that'd be our 1453, minus the old amount, 1285, divided by the old amount, 1285. Now, if you want to do this all at one time in your calculator, you have to use parentheses. Personally, I like to do a two-step process. I just like to subtract up top. So if you do 1453 minus 1285, that should put you at 168. And then you can do this all in your calculator all at one time without having to use any kind of parentheses. So I can type this part in my calculator all at one time. 168 divided by 1285 times 100. You don't need any kind of fancy fraction button or anything like that. You can literally type it in exactly how you say it. 168 divided by 1285 times 100, and that'll get you your final answer. I've got you rounded to the nearest hundredth, so you should land at 13.07%. All of these answers will be percent because it's asking you to find a percent increase or decrease. Okay. All right, let's come on down to example 16. It says a college student's good grades earned her a student discount on her car insurance. So we want to find the percent of decrease if her annual premium was lowered from $1,050 to $924. All right, so again, my formula, her new minus old divided by my old. And of course, we'll multiply it times 100 to get the percentage. All right, so her new premium is the $924 minus what she was originally paying, her old premium, $10.50, divided by her old premium of $10.50. So again, I'm just going to do that subtraction up there. So it went down by $126, but it's negative, divided by $10.50 times 100. Again, if you don't want to do that subtraction first, then you got to use parentheses in your calculator. And then that should land you at a negative 12%. I think that one came out perfect. So what that means is that her premium decreased by 12%. She got a 12% discount. Okay, I'll let you try example 17 on your own, and that finishes up this section. Thanks a lot. Bye.